I'm like, I'm on episode 45, and I think I've put in enough time where I know I love doing this. So I'm gonna put some more money into this.
Yeah.
So I like earned my pins and stripes to like invest in myself with this. You know, kind of like when you get into like an outdoor sport like snowboarding, you're just starting. You're not gonna buy all the expensive. Yeah. It's like, okay, well now I can get the nice.
Now to the hip.
Yeah. Well, this one was like a mini step. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go Bluetooth, like you guys were saying.
Oh yeah.
So I bought these $200 wireless mics, but they're not Bluetooth. They're like, you have a receiver that you hook in here.
Yeah.
So you know what I'm talking about. Didn't work.
Oh.
So I returned them, and now I'm thinking there's these Bluetooth mics that they're just like this big, and they just have a clip on them, and you clip it like right here on your shirt, and you get 2 of those. I think that's the route I'm gonna go. We made this a team building station. So we've had to develop a COVID special team building. How do we be together apart? So we have 3 main elements that we've converted to keep distance and be safe, but still be together. So we've utilized the cube. So you put the cube in the bucket, bounced on a corner, and then everyone's standing on a cone, and then one at a time people go through the cube without knocking it over. And if they knock it over, then you gotta set it back up, and then.
Gotcha.
So it works really well. People love this one. And then we did the whale watch. Remember you guys did? We did that all together.
Yeah.
That one you can kind of keep distance, you know, as you're going through it. The big thing is everybody has a mask on, so you can be a little bit closer than 6 feet if everyone's wearing a mask. And then we do the maze. I don't know if I showed you the maze, but yeah. But this is the sacred spot where we all camped.
Yeah.
On the retreat. And then I hosted that relay race with my cousins. Did I tell you about that last night? I think you asked, and then we went deep into we went into a rabbit trail that we never came out of. I love it. Yeah, that was a kind of challenge where it's fun. There's certain kind of challenges where you just feel dead inside, and then you execute the event and you just put on a mask and you're like, but inside you're just like, I hate this. And afterwards you feel worse. I don't know what it is about those kinds of things versus the kind of challenge that's hard but exciting and exhilarating, and you grow and you're like, we're going to do that again. It's hard, but I want to do that again. I don't know what tipping point happens with that, because some people say, yeah, it's, life is suffering, grow, face it. But I'm like, I think there's some where the juice isn't worth the squeeze, if that makes sense. Or it's like, I don't think I'm supposed to be doing this one. Like it seems forced, as you say, right?
The maze one?
No, just any kind of like life challenge.
Right.
I'm looking big picture.
Oh yeah, okay.
And the relay race was that kind where it's like, man, this is.
Yeah.
And it kind of came to me on one of my morning sacred run times where I get downloads or messages of like what I'm supposed to kind of focus on, or I get a pull. Yeah. And one of them was like, man, why don't we just make our own relay race?
Right.
Because they all got shut down because of COVID.
Yeah.
So I was running with my cousin later that day, and I'm like, what if we did our own? He's like, yeah. So me and him, like 5 months out, just planned this whole thing with our family. There's like 30 of us.
Nice.
So basically we put together the event, and we had promo videos and a form they filled out. We made t-shirts, and it just was seamless when they showed up. It was just...
Yeah, well, everybody's on board. Everybody's, so everybody's feeling like, they trust you too.
Yeah.
They really trust you, so that's a big part of it. If there's no trust, then there won't be, like you said, like flow.
Yeah.
Because people aren't just like, it's not effortless. It's not that woo way, right? Just effortlessness. Being able to keep that effortlessness. I know you got that. It's a huge. I can see that in your life, and especially when you've gotten something down to a science.
Yeah,
that's what you do.
Yeah.
And then you present it, and you're like, okay, I've worked every nook and cranny out. But if somebody, it's improvising.
Yeah,
it's being able to improvise. So.
Yeah, my favorite is the happy accidents. the things you weren't expecting, but they're just like gold.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because we did 4 laps around the lake. It's a 10-mile loop.
Mm-hmm.
So between 10 of us, we're like, it's not a race against each other. Let's see how many miles we can get total as a family.
Mm-hmm.
So usually in a relay race, you're running by yourself and you're trying to beat a time. But with this one, it was like, it's not about the time. It's about getting the miles in. So you end up running with another person.
Mm-hmm.
And so the happy accident was, which we weren't expecting, everyone was running with another family member. And we got into these like really cool
nice.
conversations, and we caught up with each other, and it was like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was so cool. And then they could bring their kids, and the kids hung out at the lake, where most relay races, only ones that could be there are the ones who are running.
Yeah.
But with this, everyone could come, everybody.
Yeah.
Somebody's like, she got hip replacement surgery. She wanted to run, but she couldn't. So she just was the queen of the station place for the aid
that's
station,
awesome,
right?
man.
Yeah, it was just, and she got cowbells, and it was like, what is happening? So we're like, this is an annual thing. This is like forever. This is what we will be doing. Yeah. And it was so like, you just show up with your tent. You don't have to like book a room. And we all like ordered pizza or did stuff at the fire, and everyone just kind of took care of themselves. They just needed to know where they needed to be, and then from there, then we played out in the trees.
Yeah.
Like, and Tree was totally, come, hang.
Yeah, do whatever.
Do whatever.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And
So
all your family members, they're pretty well equipped over here by now, or?
Yeah, like this, for most of them, it was their second time being up in the trees.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
and then like it was like 11 o'clock in the relay race, because it started at 8 a.m. on Saturday, and it was 11 o'clock. So much had already happened. I'm like, oh yeah, we're going in the trees after this. And then we came back, and my cousin Mary, I'm like, what if we did skits? And we just were like, let's just put it out there. And then we're all hanging out, and then one of her daughters comes up. She's like, Jason, can you help us with the skit? I'm like, yeah. So I go over, they're trying to explain the skit to me. I had no idea what they were talking about. And they're like, okay, make it funny. And I'm like, let's scratch this one and do a whole different skit. Because like, I'm like skit god, not saying I'm great at them, but I've just done them so many times because I was like summer camp director, and we do skits every night. So I know which ones are not going to work and which ones.
Yeah.
And
I'm sure they didn't take offense to that. They're like, okay, skit god. We are not worthy.
We're not worthy. And it was like, okay, we're two foreigners who have accents. Whatever your accent is fine. And we've traveled the world, and we've found these amazing people and we brought them back here to show to you their amazing talents. And I was like, we could be Russian, get really excited. And then instantly one of the daughters, who I didn't really know, she's like, yes, we will be Russian. And I'm like, oh, you're a theater kid. So I just knew instantly it was going to be. So we planned out the whole skit. Man, it was so much fun. And I'm like, okay, when we practice this skit, we got to be at 70%, because when we do this, we got to be at 100. And she was already into it. So I'm like, let's save the energy.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, this one we bring from the middle southern part of the world, and they do half a jack of half, and it's just like, oh, we get everybody so pumped, and they're like, and it was just like a series of like zip up shirts, like like really silly stuff, and they're like, what? And then
anticlimactic.
Yes, exactly.
Like,
that's the joke of it.
Yeah.
And we have like 5 different ones of that. And then somebody does like an actual like backflip. This girl was in gymnastics, and we're like, oh, sorry, so sorry. She was not supposed to be on schedule. So
right. Yeah.
Go back to cell. So sorry. It's so lame. So sorry.
So lame.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was fun. So.
I remember when I was in school, I did a lot of skits, and I was pretty good.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I liked plays, and I was definitely known for like being the goofy one and being the creative one when it came to plays and skits like that. And we did 6th grade camp, and
okay.
Yeah. So
you know the jam.
Yeah. So
it's fun.
I did. Yeah, it is so much fun.
Yeah.
It is, yeah. It's been a long time.
And we got it recorded, so we made like a video of all the skits, and like
that's so good.
Yeah. I was telling them how annoyed I got at camp, because we'd have like rolling on the ground funny.
Yeah.
And I was like, none of these are getting recorded. And I had this moment where I'm like, I don't want to do anymore because they're so great and I can't watch them again.
Yeah.
And I had this moment where the universe was like, Jason, it's all on file.
Right.
Keep going.
Just keep it. Yeah.
Keep going. It's all there's gonna be a time in the cosmos where you can watch all these.
That's the thing, man. It's like, it's like the mandala in the sand, right? You do it for the act of doing it, right? It is the act. It's the presentation, and you're like,
Yes.
and you just let it, boom, you just wipe it all clean.
That is beautiful. Yeah. That is beautiful.
But it was there. You made the imprint, right? It's always there somewhere.
Was that an eagle?
No, I thought that was like a baby muskrat or something.
Something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Should we walk?
Sure.
I'll show you the maze.
Great.
No, I love that. It's totally you create an imprint and then let it go.
Right? It is a snapshot in time.
Yeah. That's something. I don't know if we've talked about process theology. I think we did last time because this is like number 4 with you, man. I love it.
I'm a recurring guest here.
Yeah, you totally. But the idea that the past is like a set geometric pattern of all the choices we've collectively made, and you can't change that pattern, like it's set. So it's more important to just keep going with the next pattern and know that each individual has free will to make whatever choice to set the next pattern. And the idea is with process theology is that God or the universe, whatever you want to call that, I equate God as love. So that's not my favorite definition of using that word. Like, so perfect love is so with us that it's setting the next best possible choice before us every 12th of a second. And we have the will to either lean into that or kind of do our own thing. That might not be the best choice, but it doesn't matter because even after that, the next best choice is presented. So there's really you can regret and be in stagnation and guilt and shame in that rut. That's fine because the next best choice is still always there. It never goes away. So the only choice is to engage and then flow. And like you could be stuck in an eddy for a bit, but you're still in the river and you still, So that gives me a lot of joy in that I can just, it doesn't matter. Maybe my morning was just really, or I got in a fight or whatever. It's like, no, you can just lean in, back into it.
Well, what if also something really important happened that was a catalyst for a huge change in your life, or there was a landmark along your journey? Could you still take that energy that you once had under those circumstances, because it's all there, it's all in muscle memory or all in our unconscious, it's all kind of, sometimes embedded into our bodies somewhere, right? We're holding on to that. And it's a resource for more change, more inspiration, more of a catalyst, future catalyst perhaps, or one for your current affairs, current circumstances. So drawing energy from that, like, okay, how did it feel? How was it tangible, or how was it? Where did you feel that in your body? Is there a type of like color or vibration that you associate this type of being with? And then taking that energy and using it to help you perhaps get through a current tough obstacle. Like, well, man, I was able to overcome this, earlier in my journey. So I've been on the journey. So what if I can access that same childlike energy, or perhaps it's like, I was really at my creative best at that time. Can I take this same energy and use it for the current state of affairs, so I'm able to overcome my challenges at the present moment?
It's like fuel to propel you, or you could use it. You could see it as fuel to propel the whatever. You're, like you say, catalyst.
Yeah, it's like that resource is embedded within you, and just accessing that resource.
Yeah, man, I can relate to that when I was going through a lot of pain connected to a relationship seems to be the theme. And I was like, man, this is so painful. And I kind of did that. I'm like, well, I'm going to use it to propel me instead of just let it weigh me down. I'm not going to put it in my fuel tank. And like, if it was like on a run or if it was going to start to work at the mountain, you know.
And that's looking at it in the sense that, yeah, I can, instead of, because I can feel what this energy is going, where it's going, and it's like, yeah, it's not a good place. So instead, it's like anger, right?
Yeah.
There are the great uses for anger, but if you project it at the person, then you're going to get turned into a button pushing match or like
Yeah.
a fist fight or something like that. So
Totally.
why project it at the person when you can go, oh, I got all this energy, now I can creatively, you know, I can
Ooh,
do,
yeah.
like, there's something I can, and kicks are actually, that's why I did that. Kicks are
Yeah.
especially,
Get
yeah,
it. Get
they're- exactly. You can flick, it's like you just flick it off of your body.
I like that.
Or project that energy into something that is useful for, you know, that's why martial artists, when they do martial arts, it's like, it's a great way to express that, I don't know, testosterone.
Get the demons out.
Yeah.
Kick those demons.
Exactly. Flick them out.
I love it. I love it. That's great, man.
Yeah, with martial arts, it's especially helpful. But, you know, run,
Yeah.
yoga, punching bag,
Yeah.
you know.
It's like a healthy way to move that energy.
It's a way to express it in a way that's not, you know,
Yeah.
you're dumping it on somebody else, and they're going, you know, Mother Earth is much better, right? We're not going to sit here and push at each other. Mother Earth just go,
Take
thank
it.
you.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like, it's all energy to me, man. Go ahead, you know.
Oh, I love it. So this is the maze. Did I show you this?
I don't think we did this one, but I remember we passed by it and we looked at it.
It's like a pattern that's on a piece of paper, and you step on one of these squares, and then I have the pattern, and so if they step on the right one, I don't say anything. They step on one that's not in the pattern, I say, good learning, and then the next person goes, and then it's trial and error.
Oh,
till they get through the whole thing.
You pick which one.
Yeah.
And if they're on a red one, then you say good learning.
If it doesn't matter if it's red or gray. It's like if it's the next step is there's every square is used once, right?
Gotcha.
And so they have to figure out, and I say this is where it starts or wherever with you, and then from there they just have to figure it out.
So I'm supposed to hit all the squares at least once?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And the pattern never changes, so it's set.
Right.
And so then you get into, at the end, it's like, and you go one at a time. It's like, what was it like going through the maze? What did you find? And they're like, well, I found that I needed help. And then what did you notice when you were outside the maze? I found that I was giving help. So we get into, okay, where in your life or your company, where are you best at giving help? And where do you need to receive help? Right. And then you can make matches with that. Like with students in school, I say, you know, I can give help with math. I need help, or I need to receive help with writing papers. Yeah. And it's like, okay, cool, you guys can be study buddies on that.
Right, yeah.
So I'm bringing connection that way.
Totally, man. I like
so that's how this one evolves. Yeah. So, like, we all got to go through our maze of life alone, but we don't have to do it alone.
Yeah, exactly. We can have help.
Yeah. So, it's a good one. Let's walk back down. I just want to do a little swing by, but it doesn't mean we need to stop. I get into mother hen mode with the staff. Just want to make sure they're happy. That's why I love this job is when people count on me, I like that. Like if I'm not there to kind of help and make sure things are okay, like I don't like them being in a situation where it's an unnecessary struggle.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, hey, I'm here. What do you need? Let's make today smooth.
Right.
So, and it could be a little thing like the belay system's broken. Like yesterday it was broken, so I went up there and fixed it. And if I wasn't there, we'd have to shut down that whole course. So I like to be available for whatever.
Which one is that? Is it the Black Diamond?
There was the red one, where you pull down the the rope
Oh, right.
to climb that ladder.
Yeah.
Sometimes that one will jam, but it
Yeah.
like jammed in a really weird way yesterday that nobody could figure out. So I went up there and did some creative fixing. So anyway,
Fine.
yeah. As opposed to a job where it's like I'm the only one who suffers if I don't step up. It's like it's not as motivational.
Right.
Yeah. I need to be on a team where it's in real time.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I liked working at the restaurant. It's exactly that situation. Like you got to be there 100% focused or people suffer.
Yeah. Yeah. I was a big fan of being a cook in a line. It was the same thing as like we're all working on a team and
Yeah.
camaraderie and
Yeah.
you know it's fast paced but it's fun.
Mhm. Yeah, I did that to pay my way through college, and I learned more in that restaurant. That's helped me in life than I did going to college.
Right.
I told years went by and I went back and visited the restaurant and I told the owner that, and he's like, he almost cried. He was like, dude, that means so much to me. Because I think that's one of his personal goals is like bringing in people where they can grow, on a personal level. And
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, that's a big deal. I mean, if you can find a place that has that. I remember working and I was with it's like my best friends.
Yeah.
At the time, and
Yeah.
just being able to laugh and to explore and to work together and be a cohesive unit.
Mm-hmm.
It's such take care of your neighbor. And,
Yeah, one of my best friends was made from that. And we still hang out. This was it 10 years ago? It's a long time ago. But yeah, you get to know people pretty well.
yeah, you do.
And we'd be so busy and we'd have these really deep conversations as we're like doing all these different things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he's like, we should do a podcast
Right?
before podcasts were a thing.
Yeah.
I didn't even know we knew what podcasts were at the time, but we're like, what if this is being filmed? People would watch this.
Oh man, doing construction too. There's some funny stuff that happens,
Yeah.
It's like goof up, you goof on some things.
Yeah. A lot of good learning moments.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, man. So what inspired this, I think you hit on it a little bit, just need some time. A little solo vision quest kind of thing.
Yeah, being able to step away from my current grind, it's not an easy thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have a drive, and I don't want to interrupt, right?
Yeah.
The drive, but what happens is that it's not just the drive I get caught in; it's a pattern, and sometimes the pattern can be, well, if things don't go right, if I don't meet a deadline by this time and this time, then I start to get down on myself, or I start to get angry or frustrated. So it's called a pattern interrupt when I am in a certain groove, instead of and recognizing that this is my groove and this is my pattern. Things don't go ideal, I get upset. Caught that just in the nick of time. So I can go and explore, and being able to be with friends, and being able to especially travel, because I love traveling.
Yeah.
And this is not far, right? It's only
Yeah.
like 2 hours, 2.5 hours away. But coming down here to Oregon is, this used to be home for me.
Yeah.
Just seeing old friends and
Yeah.
being able to meet with my coach, and it really is healing for me, and it helps refill my tank, right? Like we talked about refilling the tank, and that's huge for me. I need that more, And traveling does that for me.
Yeah.
Nature, traveling. If I can combine all the perfect things, it's this.
Yeah.
You know, it's like nature, travel,
Yeah.
good, in-depth, heart-to-heart talks. Just creating more awareness around my typical routine and how I can navigate that and make it better.
Sure.
Not get caught in a rut. Not get caught in the same old jam.
Man, you are the eagle. You need to soar, get perspective, and then yeah. And if your flight pattern's off, like that annoys you, right? Like you got to be in your flight groove. And so I don't know. That kind of came to me when you were talking. It's like, man, it's all the eagle attributes lining up there. Yeah, and then you got to see some friends yesterday, right? Because you drove in.
Yeah, I saw an old roommate, Gary.
Nice.
He's very, he's an artist. I connected much more with the artists and yogis in Portland when I lived there because I was a musician and a yogi. Okay. So that's kind of been my clique. But really it's the friends that I just vibe with. I mean, you could be, doing anything. You could be a gem dealer. I got a friend who's a gem dealer. I mean, I guess it's like artistic, and it is like, but there's an art to it and everything. But all walks of life really is, as long as I can like connect to the person, and like, okay, I know this is going to be a lasting friendship. Mm-hmm. It was like that with you when I met you at the lodge.
Yeah.
Very much that. So
yeah.
Those are the people that really I can connect with. And my coach, of course, he's nearby. Mm-hmm. So it worked out perfectly. And yeah, I'm really happy that you gave Eagle a landing.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, dude, let's make this happen.
Nest for a few days.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it's interesting, kind of looking at like, I think a little bit of it is honoring how we're wired, that we don't have choice over. It's like, man, this is just kind of how I'm wired, and I'm learning this is what I kind of need. So it's interesting, you describing, like you say, what fills your tank. I think for me as a raccoon, it's I gotta have play, like people to play with. Yeah. There's gotta be some silliness. That's one thing after the relay race, how much resource I have for, like you say, the people that you just instantly charge with. Like it's a mutual charge, right? You're not feeling drained by the other person or vice versa. It's like a synergetic. We're both getting fulfilled. And like my cousins are like that, all of them. And they live so close. And I'm like, it's like this tragedy in the past that we haven't taken more advantage of that. But now it's also like, oh, this is awesome. Like, so I've just been putting more intention into hangout times with them. Like last week I hung out with three different cousins at different times of the week. And I'm like, this is like heaven, right? Just gonna keep doing this. Like, why not?
Yeah, cousins. I've got a cousin in Olympia, and I've got a few like second cousins and stuff, in California, and so I have family nearby, and I definitely do connect with them. But it's not. Yeah, it doesn't feel like that. Not relaxing.
Okay. So every family's different.
Exactly. So my family definitely is like my extended family, my friends, my wife, and my friends in Tacoma. Those are like definitely much more like family to me. Yeah. So, and then of course my mom and my sister. My dad's in Florida. But, yeah.
So I started listening to Carl Jung this morning because I remember you brought him up before, and you sparked my interest with this guy. What kind of has drawn you to him? I assume you know a lot about him. Done a lot of.
He's the grandfather of behavioral psychology.
Okay.
So I've just I've studied him for over 15 years.
Oh, wow. Okay. So yeah, awesome.
Yeah,
You're a good resource to draw from to learn about Carl Jung.
Yeah, well, I mean, and what's so fascinating about Jung is like he was really able to see all the different perspectives on growth, and so he wasn't afraid to dabble into shamanism, talk about like he had allies that were parts of himself essentially that he worked with on a regular basis. He consulted them, for guidance. These are either. I think one of his greatest allies was actually he was a shaman, but it was like it was a shaman that had passed on. It was a spirit, and so he communicated with different allies, which is a very it's a very shamanistic approach to growth. And these allies essentially can be doubles. They're like kind of like I talked about last night. They're aspects of ourselves, and we typically have to wrestle with the ally in order to glean the answer from it. So for instance, alcohol, substances, those are allies, because they do allow us to access certain parts of ourselves, right?
Yeah.
So we relax, our inhibitions go down as a result of alcohol, But there is this sense of wrestling with it, right? And you can be consumed by the power of your ally, right? If you let it direct your life, like I can't be this way unless I have alcohol.
Yeah.
Or I can't be this way unless I have this.
Yeah. When it's an external.
It's something that we're consumed by its power, or we're drunk with its power, if you really want to put it in.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? We're drunk with its power, essentially, and so we're able to access a certain part of ourselves. But there is this sense of like, there are things about me that I don't like, when I'm drinking and or I'm using or whatever. So we struggle with it.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing. But it's also important to learn what we need to learn from it and not be consumed by it.
Yeah.
So that's why I think a lot of Native Americans especially, that's something that they get consumed by it, and it doesn't become
beneficial.
A hopeful ally anymore. They become a phantom of that spirit.
Got it. Yeah, I've felt that in relationships where I'll get addicted unconsciously too, I think, to a relationship with a woman specifically, where I lose myself.
So do you take on a new way of being when you're with them?
That seems to be the pattern.
Yeah.
That's what, and like right now, I mean, I'm really enjoying this dry season of learning how to be content and alive and thriving single.
Yeah.
And I don't think I've really given myself the chance to do that in a way where it's like, it's okay. Because like when I was younger, it's like, okay, well, eventually I need to find a mate, and that's the goal, and then everything will be as it should, and everything's working towards that, versus just being content with the stage of my life and embracing it on a day-to-day level, instead of having this like fantasy of where my life should be or who I should be with, and not feeling okay until that is a thing. And then then what's happened is then I am in a relationship and I'm not feeling content. Like it opens up a whole new set of carrots to chase, and it's all dependent on that external person, place, or thing, on how I'm doing. It's all circumstantial. Like if we're off, then I'm off. Versus, we could have turbulence, but I could still be content, just like dropping anchor, you know, or being below the surface of the ocean, and above there's this huge hurricane going on, but just below the water, everything's smooth. So being able to just be content, even when the turbulence is happening, and I feel like I can only do that with having a deep relationship with myself, I guess, or the still small voice that lives within, and finding serenity there. Then I'm free. Then I'm free from whatever is going on with somebody else or whatever, something at work.
So how would you, within a relationship, well, let me ask you this.
Woodpecker? Yeah. That tree's dead.
Yeah, for sure. Have you ever had a point in your life where you were with someone and yet you were still able to keep your sense of self, your energy, you were able to be yourself essentially, and you didn't feel like you were taking on their stuff, or perhaps identifying with this way of being that was so outside of your comfort zone that it didn't feel like you were yourself anymore? Have you been with someone that you were able to be completely you and be you felt charged by you alone, and you weren't reliant upon the other person wasn't reliant upon you?
I
don't think consistently, no. I've definitely had pockets of that in each relationship.
Okay. Think of a specific time, like any time, and go to that moment, if you will. I mean, I don't want to run you through the Sean coaching program right now, but if
that's what's happening. Let's do it.
I mean, if you can at any point access that energy at that point in your life where you had this person in your life, and you're like, wow, this feels, this feels right. This feels like I can be me. Even if it's just a small pocket, can you bring yourself into that moment? And if you're unable to, then there are other ways to, call in that energy while you're with someone, and that'll be a test, right? You can test to see if you're able to still hold on to your values and your current way of being, but yet be open to evolve, because that's what relationships do.
Oh, for sure.
Another Carl Jung quote. It's like a chemical reaction when two souls meet. That it's a significance. A significance has become of the two when they're able to walk away from each other completely changed. And that's the chemical reaction. It's like, they're totally changed. They evolve.
Yeah.
That was a terrible.
No, I totally feel you.
That quote,
no, I totally feel you.
Rolling in his grave right now.
Yeah. No, you brought that up last time, and that kind of stuck with me. And that just kind of reminds me too, like, I have nothing but appreciation and gratitude for all my past relationships, because they've taught me so much. So it's not like a bashing.
I would say definitely that seems like you're open to that. So
Well, and Kayla, when we were married, there was a season, for sure, like at the beginning, the first 4 years was magic. Oh yeah, thank you. Love blackberries. We were young, not knowing what we were doing, but we definitely were two kids that liked to play together and had a blast, Yeah. So it's like, and then it was like, well, we should get married because that's what you do. But we did not know what we were signing up for.
Yeah.
So young, right? And then there was a time where we were running a camp together. And before going into that, I was really like anxious, like, how's this we're gonna fight, and just, I was being a little controlling, like foreseeing things the way I wanted them to be, and like she's probably not gonna want to do it that way, but I'm really gonna want to. Like I was like creating scenarios that weren't even.
Oh yeah.
But I was pleasantly surprised in that we were such a good team running that camp. Like our relationship was on point. We both supported each other. We both just had each other's back, and we both had shared vision, and it was awesome. And the real issues were with, staff or whatever, and just the challenges of doing that, run a program like that. But if anything, she was, there was no challenge with her. It was, we were fully supportive of each other. It just kind of worked out that way. So there's an example, and I think what helped with that is that we weren't looking to each other. We were like, if you think of two boats in the water, both pointed at a lighthouse, but they're side by side.
Yeah.
So we were both going forward together side by side, as opposed to like just floating there in the dark, expecting the other one to lead the other one with no light.
You got some nice visual analogies there.
Yeah.
I like your. Okay.
Yeah.
So, if you were to go back to this time,
Hello.
and like take a
We can go over here. Yeah, no problem. You got the herd there to navigate, so a little easy for us to step off, yeah.
So if you were to take like a third-party perspective on this, like perspective of fly on the wall, or you can even kind of sense yourself maybe even astral projecting to this point in your life, were you able to see the energy that you had? Are you able to do that?
Like, yeah, from the outside looking in, kind of.
Yeah, maybe gazing upon yourself in this moment, because you described it right now, we might as well kind of
Yeah.
access this energy for a moment.
I think keep looking at the light, man. Like,
Okay, so if you were to look at you, where is this light in your body? Is it a certain color? Is it a vibration? Is it a density? Can you describe this in terms of energy?
yeah, it would be like probably like a diamond, and very, but not blue, more like a bright yellow, and very just alive and joyous.
Where do you feel it in your body?
Kind of in the chest, and kind of the chest head area.
Okay, can you touch anywhere specific? Where you,
Hi.
Where it is? Hi.
Hello.
How you guys doing?
Pretty good. How are you guys
Doing good.
Good.
Thank
Yeah, totally.
you. Cool hats. You guys can come and go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
We're doing Swoopy Swap. How's it going? Doing good.
Good.
Beautiful morning.
Yeah.
Guys have a nice walk.
You too.
Couple of space cowboys walking through. Watch out. Yeah, kind of like this golden yellow color. Yeah, I'd say like middle, upper chest.
Yeah. So show me where in your body.
Yeah, like right up here.
Okay. Alright, so that's where the energy is.
Yeah. And I felt at times very wrapped in love. Like sometimes I'll wake up and I just feel this saturation and deep penetrating, warm, thick love. I think it's the best way I could describe it. I'm like, oh, I'm free. Like I am without need of anything. Like it's heaven. It's like it's there.
And even tapping into that resource. So that's why, like, of course, you feel it in your body. How to access that energy? Well, you can use your own touch, right? That's where it resides. And then taking that energy and using your body to interpret the current resonance with said person when you're taking them out on the date, or like, am I able to access this joyous independence of, this is me. I'm able to be me in this relationship. I'm able to really, I'm the same way of being that I dream of being when I picture my ideal self in a relationship. My ideal relationship, essentially. So your body's like that barometer to detect if things are steering in the direction that you need. So this way, you go with resonance. Trial and errors, of course, it's going to be a part of life. When you don't go with resonance, you're going to learn. But the more that you go with resonance, you find that you're able to navigate your little boat, right? So that whoever you meet along your way towards the lighthouse, or it's going to be congruent. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, here we are. The waves are a little bit shifty here.
Yeah.
Things are rocky.
Yeah.
Not sure if this is going to be the right groove for me. But you can detect that early on, so you're able to steer more clearly.
The word that totally highlighted was when you said congruent. Like, I think that's the jam. Like, is there congruence here?
Yeah.
And I think in the past I've sacrificed that for the well-being of the other person more times than not, so then it starts to become a drain. And then
you get burnt out.
But the irony is then I'm a drain on them. So nobody wins. So nobody's at fault. I'm not pointing any fingers, but there's no congruence. There's no, we're kind of both unconsciously maybe bringing each other down.
And the funny thing is that how can you access this energy, detect where the energy is flowing, and then be so aware of it and so be able to express it in such a way that the other person makes that empathic connection with you, and you're able to empathically connect with the other person, so that your needs and wants, like you always say, get them on the table.
Get them on the table.
Right? And it's the needs and wants that are going to meet you on every level of this relationship. Because, it could be in a business sense, and sure, things will go fine for a while, but is it gonna stay like that? If it comes to intimate and personal, relationships. So navigating through that as well. And I'm not saying that I'm any pro at this. It's something that I've had to practice myself, and I just so happened to meet a person that was open to the same type of work.
Yeah, I like the idea of being less dependent and more interdependent, and an enhancement. We enhance each other. I like congruence and enhancement.
Yeah.
But we're not the other one's number one. Not saying, I'm not talking about polyamory. I'm talking about
you are your own best friend in that relationship. You're your own best partner.
Yeah. And the other person, we're doing this together, but you're not my god or goddess. Like there's something bigger than both of us. In AA they talk about your higher power is number one. Like, you can't do any of the other steps until you, whatever your higher power is. And so I think there's something to that. And I think I've made people or women my higher power, and that's where it all falls apart.
You're giving your power away.
Yeah.
Once you consider it outside yourself. But the moment that you are your higher power is when you empower yourself. You are empowered to conduct and orchestrate what needs to go.
So I'm thinking we do a Yui for time, because we're like halfway to our limit, and then look at that, we got a phone call. Speak of the.
What's that?
These two guys rocks. That's my answer to everything.
These two guys rocks.
No, it's funny. We're just talking about relationships, and you called.
Yeah, I was just talking.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
How great I am.
Mostly good stuff.
How great you are. Yeah.
Okay, well, that sounds good.
Check. Yeah.
Oh, you got funny. Okay, well, I just wanted to call and say good morning and love you.
Love you too, baby. I'll give you a call when we get back. I'm gonna have a little bit of time. I might stay another night and hang out. Yeah, with Jason over at the farm.
Yeah. I think there's a fine line with me and talking about self. I think we talked about last night, like being self-conscious versus we-conscious. And I think there's a point where I can get a little too self-centered and in my own world and less about relationship and more about like too much about what I need and want and circumstantial thinking, like, oh, I need to create a new circumstance for a better life, as opposed to, you know, just letting it all go and being present in the moment and feeling what's happening and embracing it. And instead of like trying to change my circumstances, just more of like, what am I looking at? Where's my focus? Because I think what we put in front of us is what we devour, whether we like it or not. And that doesn't necessarily need to be an actual place. It could be just a focus of where are my thoughts at? Like, this person, am I looking at how awful they are? Well, I'm going to be filled with that. Or can I choose to see how amazing they are, and then I'm filled with that? Because every person, you know, we all have our amazingness, and then also our not so amazingness.
Yeah, and if you didn't already have a view of yourself as awesome, it would be hard to view anybody else as awesome, because you are you essentially, when you define something as awesome, you identify with it in some way. How are you to identify something if you don't already identify with it?
Ah, gotcha.
You know what I mean? Like,
I can relate to that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's I wouldn't say it's selfish to have that confidence in your own ability to determine and identify with this awesomeness, you know, or this like you said last night a lot, the celebrity.
Yeah.
You know, this ability to really just shine and draw attention, because as soon as you're able to create this for yourself, this does reflect in anybody and everybody around you, because you are creating a great life for yourself, and this is affecting everybody around you. You're passing this amazingness on, right? I think you used something else last night. It was like, you know, you're able to touch that other person and then you pass it on, right? It's this ability to feel alive and feel gratitude for yourself and taking responsibility for not only all the hard work you've done, but how you are able to manifest the good things that you need in your life and call in what you need in your life. And that's you. That's the empowerment. That's the not giving your power away. That's taking responsibility and owning up for that power that you have. But you don't get drunk with the power, and that would be more like
Ego, like,
yeah, that would be the ego going,
selfish, yeah.
that's fucking great, you know, like, right? And you're just like sitting there marinating in your own, like,
I'm awesome.
right?
Yeah, I feel you. That's what I want to. That's what I want to avoid for sure.
Well, then you.
And I've probably been there, you know.
Right.
But I think more times than
We all
not.
have.
Yeah, and I think more times than not, though, I think too low of myself. Some people struggle thinking too high of themselves. I think too low of myself, but both are kind of ego driven.
I definitely resonate with that. I'm the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's
So finding that sweet spot of what's my celebrity that's not greater or less than anybody else's, and what's their celebrity. Now it's fun. Now we get to see.
But it's not. But see, here's something that, like, comparing yourself is also, there's no, like, if you look at it in terms of greatness and not so great, then you're always going to have some sort of, there's always going to be somebody greater and somebody.
Oh yeah.
What is the point then in
Oh, yeah.
defining the greatness? It's just, it's embodying it. It's
Yeah.
really being it, and then it doesn't matter if
Yeah.
one, because it's not. They're really, like, in Taoist terms, if you think what they basically have, and this is the first sentence or lyric, if you want to put it that way, in the Tao Te Ching, is the Tao. Oh man, I'm gonna butcher this one too.
No
I'm
worries.
so bad at reciting things.
Uh,
What it basically is,
you're better than you think, I think, brother.
what basically it is just like the Tao that is the Tao cannot be described. It
Yeah.
can't be. There's the Tao that we describe as the Tao, right? There's the way that we describe is the way, and then there's the way that we try to define everything. Because we call it nature, we call it flow, we call it all these things, and it's great to be able to have that, right, and say I'm in flow and I identify with this way of being. But the moment that we try to describe it, it loses its flow.
Yeah.
You're stopped and it's like this. It's going and you're like, and you're trying to hold on to it. Right?
Yeah.
And it's going this way. The moment you try to grab onto it, you're like, you're grabbing nothing. It's already gone.
Yeah. Sorry.
It's flowing this way. And that's nature. The moment
Yeah.
we try to go against nature and stop it, who goes against nature
That's
and wins?
that's impossible. Yeah.
So
I mean, you could mow your lawn. That's about.
right. You can build levees, mow your lawn, but the shit's gonna grow over and the levee's gonna break.
Yeah, and the hurricane's coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. COVID's gonna hit.
Right.
Mother Nature, go to your room. Everybody,
Yeah.
go to your room.
I love that analogy. Yeah.
Stay in there till you've learned.
I feel like Mother Nature is telling us in 2020 just to go to our rooms.
Go to. You're all grounded.
Don't think about what you've done.
Yeah, so I can like breathe.
Yeah, no kidding. And it has, man.
Yeah.
I mean, everything's flourishing.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how much now, but for a while there, things were looking.
Yeah, and I hope we remember that. You know, like just a week of a break.
Yeah.
For the whole planet. Like, yeah. Well, I think we're saying the same thing. When I say celebrity, I guess I'm not putting it on a higher or lower than kind of thing. It's more of a fixed point in the cosmos that's unique, and it's like, oh, see that person's essence and uniqueness. When I can experience it, to me, that's the joy. And when I have the freedom to share mine with theirs, then we're all on the same level, because what makes us great is that I'm not that person. There is no comparison. Isn't it? Like, to compare is it's just an illusion. Like, what are you comparing? Like,
Yeah. Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. You're just trying to, you're trying to fit things inside of a box again, right?
yeah,
And just trying to make things perfect and hold on to it with your life
Mm-hmm.
and define it and get closer and closer. It's funny, like, I mean, I'm sure you've done plenty of quantum physics study and things like that.
some, yeah.
So when they look at the energy particles, somebody always has to be observing it.
Mm.
Like if they shot these energy particles into this, or I think it was light. If they shot this light into a certain energy reading graph, it wouldn't happen. They just were like, that's odd. We keep we keep flashing these energy particles into this graph, and it's not showing up until there was an observer, until somebody was observing it.
Huh.
So the more we look into things, we're going to find different stuff every time. We're going to find something new every time. We can try and break things down to the nth degree, but essentially, it's just like it's like anything with exploration. You explore and you discover something new. You don't have to always completely analyze things to the nth degree, because it's always ever changing. That's the universe. That's the nature of the universe. That is nature. It's an evolution and change.
It's always new.
It's always new.
You can't maybe look at the same thing twice and it be the same thing.
Right.
Huh. That's interesting. That makes sense, though.
And you know, we don't really think about that when we have arguments on, you know, politics or stuff, or you know, race, anything like that. We're always
Wanting it to be the same, so it's like a control thing, maybe, to like feel safe.
absolutely.
Huh. So it's like a fear. It feels like control is grounded in fear, and not allowing the change that needs to happen to change.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's the shadow work, right? I mean, when you look at your shadow, you have to filter through or look through all the dark stuff
Yeah.
to see the actual beauty that's there. And that's why they call it shadow work. Is like, yeah, because the way you perceive it is the worst side of you, and again, it's that labeling thing. We label more and more, because if we don't label it,
We don't have control.
we don't have control.
I'm out of control. Ah!
Thank you. Yeah.
Freak out. This kind of reminds me of, what are those sun particles, neutrinos? Am I saying that right? There's like these really tiny particles that are so small, and they're constantly blasting out of the sun that they actually go through the earth.
Oh.
I think they're neutrinos.
Yeah, I think it's nano.
Yeah. And I listened to a lot this morning. Carl Jung, Richard Rohr.
What time did you get up?
I was up at like 6. Sometimes I instantly put in some kind of like inspiring something to chew on for the day, kind of thing. Instead of letting my mind just kind of go to some weird place, like kind of sets it in the right motion. He was saying how, well, if that's true, the neutrinos are from the sun and the sun is light, then really there is no darkness. Like, you can find light everywhere.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's kind of profound. I want to restart, because I want to upgrade, and then it totally shuts the thing down. So I don't know how much was recorded.
Oh man.
I know it's good. I think
Get the neutrino nanos.
probably
Nano.
nano. But the Plato's Cave thing, yeah, that they were threatened down there, and then when the guys trying to tell them they're in a cave, they killed them because it totally threatened their false identity, right?
Well, it's an old identity. Maybe it was real. It was real to them.
Yeah.
It was real to them. So this is something that they viewed life through a bubble of perception. And when somebody comes along and says, "Did you know about this shit?" They're like, "I don't want to know. You're crazy.
Yeah.
This can't be. I
Yeah.
can't let that old me die
Yeah.
and identify with this new way of being."
Yeah.
And that is the fear, like you said, of wanting to control and keep things in the status quo.
Yeah.
Keep things normal,
Yeah.
which it's going against nature. It's going against the evolution of what we are.
And that's interesting too, that people, the term that's evolving out of COVID is what's going to be the new normal. So it's like a shift, like, oh, things need to change, and it's like we can't deny it anymore.
Right.
I don't know if calling it new normal is the healthiest, but
Yeah.
it's new. it's
Right? Yeah. I don't know. I stay wary of all the new hip terms and stuff like
Yeah,
that. I'm
yeah.
just like, let me.
It's kind of lazy almost. Like
yeah. Right. Yeah. But yeah, sure. You know, things are going to change, and I don't want it to be normal. I'm ready for the abstract. I'm ready for a really revolutionized way of looking at government and looking at exchange, you know, of energy and how we conduct our lives. I'm
Yeah.
ready for it. You know, I'm like, come on, bring it on.
I think it's gonna happen and is happening at exponential.
It is, yeah.
Like I feel like it's gonna be more rapid, like more with tech and everything, and I was with a kid just about to start college, and he's talking about liquid democracy and using blockchain to like revolutionize the way we do government through all this stuff. And I'm like, dude, these are the next generation coming up. Okay, all right.
You know, as long as like the backing of it is resonating with my like compassion, we're doing this in a compassion, empathy, you know, like we're using our empathic connection, we're using our ability to be more compassionate with one another.
Yeah.
That's what I resonate with.
Yeah.
And so that's the way I'm conducting my life. Mm-hmm. And because number one, it recycles my energy, and it keeps me operating on all, you know, firing on all cylinders, and it also allows, you know, the rest to uplift, you know, really uplifting and drive things forward.
Yeah.
You know, as far as, you know, again, this is my experience, but you know, everybody also has their own how they perceive
Yeah.
things are going to change, and how they perceive how they want things to change.
I think for the most part, if you're not a sociopath, everybody deep down, if they're honest with themselves, wants love, wants compassion, wants to be part of it, give it, receive it. Oh. Oh,
He's alive.
he's alive. Little snake
Snake.
doing his snake thing,
Just slithering
Lit-
on by.
living his best life.
That's right.
Probably off the road would be better.
Yeah.
He's going the right direction though.
Yeah.
And I think how we go about getting that or being in that looks different for people. But I think the common denominator, most of the time, I feel, that's our desire.
Yeah.
I love the Plato's Cave. That little, there's a cool,
The allegories of the cave.
yeah, there's a 10-minute YouTube cartoon on it. Orson Welles narrates it. Did I share that with you?
No, I think I've seen it though. Pretty sure
Oh,
I've seen
man.
it. Yeah.
I saw that in philosophy class. I'm like, what am I looking at? This is awesome.
Yeah.
I resonate with this so much. Like,
Yep.
it makes so much sense. Just on a historical level with like different people that have tried to tell us there's a better way and we kill them.
Yeah.
Like that one.
Well, like Socrates,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. That was yeah.
I mean, that was his teacher.
Exactly.
But you know, I mean, it's so funny. Yeah, we constantly look at those people because that's all he did was like walk around, and you know, he questioned people.
Yeah.
He did his thing. He just like, I want you to truly use your entire being to consider the options,
Yeah.
not just complacently letting things. You know, I want you to really take a critical, you know, approach to this.
Well-
And you know, and I really he was kind of a dick. he wasn't the nicest guy.
Yeah.
But he was also like, he was a revolutionary.
Yeah.
And a lot of people looked at him like he was the guy pointing out. He was the guy up top, right? Going into the cave, going, dudes,
Yeah.
wake up. You know, it's like the shadow right here. That's not a duck. You know, this is not a dinosaur.
Yep. Pretty much. Yes, it is. You don't say that.
Yeah.
You don't say that.
Right.
Ah! Okay. Whatever, guys. I don't want to live here anyway with this
Yeah.
attitude.
Yeah, you guys.
With your silliness.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and it's exciting because to be on the edge of that, like if there's so much more, if there's so many different layers we getting out of the cave, like what's next? Like that's exciting to me.
Right. Yeah.
Like what's the
What are
illusion?
we
What's real?
If that is what we once were interfacing in, all these shadows and all this, what are we interfacing in now?
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
is, right?
It doesn't end.
But that is exactly, I think, what Socrates stood for, was like, how are you viewing the world, and through what perception are you viewing it?
Yeah.
How do you make sense of things?
Yeah.
Why do you call this? Why would you do that? Like,
Yeah.
and right now, I even sound like that's probably how he talked.
Yeah.
A lot of people
What
didn't
is
like
the
him.
deal? Yeah. Yeah.
They were like, "You're a nut." You're onto something, but you're a nut.
You're a nut. Yeah, it makes me wonder what am I thinking is real, but it's just a shadow. And I'm wasting a lot of time looking at the shadow, trying to label it, describe it, when right over here, there's a whole new awesome world.
Right.
I wonder though if there's something to be said for, because they were in chains, right? So that can be maybe part of the phase, is how do you break those chains to be able to turn your head and
Totally. Yeah.
look and see what's real behind you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and and we like being shackled because it makes us feel comfortable and safe.
Oh,
It's
interesting.
like, no, but you're shackled. No, these are to help so we don't float away, or you know what I mean? Like, so we don't leave and miss, so we have FOMO, like, we don't want to miss out of what's happening next in the, in the shadow, puppet shadows.
Huh. So you're saying it serves a purpose to some extent?
To us, because it is real to us.
Ah.
It's something that we justify as a need.
Mm-hmm.
We value it. So the more that we put value into it, the more we're going to try and make excuses around it, or try to create more of a justification. We see everything on the news, on the media, because it's our shadow. It's somebody else pulling the puppet strings, and we're just going, okay, can I get another shackle?
Yeah.
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 Can you really lock me in here so I don't,
Seriously. Wow. That was like perfect timing because the battery's about to die.
Sweet.
Look at that. It's meant to be.
Meant to be.